Hello and welcome back to StarCraft. Today we're going to be kicking off a new series in Direct Strike. You see, I've gotten a lot of requests to do this kind of a series, and we're going to be starting it off right now and today. So the new series is going to be all about all of the other matches that we haven't done so far, because typically, or at least in the previous series, we were showcasing the flashy ones, the cream of the crop, the ones that everyone is really talking about, you know, those hard counters, the meme builds and all that. And today we're going to be showcasing the rest of the game. We're going to be showcasing what usually happens when you just go out to play a nice, relaxing game of Direct Strike out on the internet. And this is going to be kicking it off with our very first Karax versus Phoenix. Karax versus Tychus. We'll do Karax versus Phoenix another episode. But for now, let's go ahead and see how we react here. Yep, there's a Tychus. Alright, so if you guys may have noticed, this is in fact a replay. This is different from most of the other videos that I've done. Typically, I just go out and do everything live, or at least as live as you get for recordings. This one is actually going to be during the replay, and we'll see a lot more of this as this series goes on. There's a very good reason for it. Typically, when I do these previous showcases, it's going to be with a team of people that know what they're doing against an opponent who's already been pre-selected and predetermined to play specifically that one scenario. And that's because that scenario is so uncommon that you just don't get it without having some pre-selected teams or some planning going on. And this one, well, this is a bit more average, and I have no idea when these matches are going to happen. In fact, I don't have to do any setup for it. I just go out, I play a random match out in the world, and we see the results of it and how to play it properly. So rather than going out with the intent to record some special match, we're just gonna go and play random matches, and I'll show you guys the ones that include, well, the video that you guys are looking to see, the video that you guys are requesting this week. And this time we're going to be starting it off with our Karax versus Tychus. Now, the Karax versus Tychus here, I've just done my regular opener for out the gate. It's just immediate first gas goes down, followed by an Energizer. That's just to claim the middle bonus because, well, the Energizer can't fight much, but many times opponents just don't build anything on the first wave, so that gives me a free 60 minerals for the team in case my opponent doesn't spawn anything. Yay, Energizer! And then from there I immediately go tier 2. And of course, we saw that our opponent is Tychus with our first Energizer, which enables me to just say, hey, I know what I need to do. I need to get mass annihilators. Why? Because Annihilators are good units, and more importantly, they have the Shadow Cannon. Shadow Cannon, after a short, well, channeling duration, they will be able to deal a total of 200 damage to a target of their choice, or if you micro them, as we will be doing here, whatever target we select. You'll see the first cast of it there. Notice that we did disable autocast for that. Everything here will need to be micromanaged, and that's because we need to make sure that our shadow cannons select and burst down individual Tychus units. You'll see there that there is a Nikara. We don't care about burning down Nikara if we can just wipe out every single offensive unit on the Tychus lineup. That's what we're going to be striving to do. Wipe out the Tychus and then go from there. Now, you guys may notice that Annihilators are very expensive. They're also very good by virtue of being Immortals, so you generally want to get upgrades for them. We will not be doing that. We do not care about the Immortal units, we care only about their ability. For us, they are Spellcasters. Now, I did use a Shadow Cannon on that Tahaka just to make him go away, mostly because if we didn't, then we were going to lose our Shadow Cannons to this wave, and we do not want that. So that is really rather unfortunate, but we still spared enough Shadow Cannons for burning down the Tychus hero unit himself. That leaves only Nikara and the Rattlesnake, which is just easy game for Annihilators. Annihilators wipe out the armored Rattlesnake unit super easy, so I knew that going into it, and knew that it would be worth me using that Shadow Cannon on the Dahaka to begin with, but typically, you do not want to be using your Shadow Cannons unless you absolutely have to, because the Shadow Cannons are the only tool you have to remove Tychus units, and we're just gonna be getting down more annihilators as we go. Like that is our purpose. Mass annihilation. That sounds cheesy. It sounds, well, very one-sided, but it is what it is the only option. It is our option in Karax's arsenal. We'll see many of those as the game goes on. Now here, my opponent is going to Swarm Host, which is not ideal, I'll say that, but you know what? If we were looking for ideal games, I'd have gotten opponents who actually know what they were doing, and same thing with allies. And here you'll see I actually messed up the micro a little bit. Yes, this does rely on micromanagement. You'll notice that I sent 3 of those shadow cannons into Tychus, a big blue marine with a minigun, and he didn't go down. That's because Tychus, he needs 4 to go down, and I didn't do that, so that's a mistake on my part, and you see just one mistake like that costs me the wave, and suddenly I leaked units into my teammate. Not good. I don't want to be doing that. I want to be making sure that I stay on top of my micro every single time. And just get more Immortals, because overkill, well, there is no overkill when it comes to Tychus. Like, you kind of have to. You kind of just have to get more. And for these spellcast type units, which, weird to say, Immortals as spellcasters, but nonetheless. Now here I'm taking a big risk. I'm seeing that there's a lot of damage coming into my Immortals, and I'm saying, hey, you know what? I think our cannon, our bunker can eat the shots, so I'm going to use no shadow cannons and save them all for the Tychus wave here. And I did, and that paid off in dividends in that most of our waves survived and just wiped out the entire Tychus wave. And the sacrifice is maybe 150 HP on our bunker, which is significant, but not as significant as completely winning the wave and pushing forward. In fact, we pushed forward there hard enough that we ate all of those shots, all of those railgun shots, the initial alpha strike off of the Nova Elite Marauders, and that enabled our Tychus teammate to push forward and do some damage to the next set of units here, which is very good because clearly our Abathur needs the help. Now, our Abathur is going for a very stack-heavy build, and that those always come into play in their strength a bit later, and the Dahaka really isn't doing much to counter that type of strategy, so much as just throw a bunch of units on the field and hope to bash it all down before it gets started. But you know, as long as we can help keep our teammate alive during these trying times of the early game, then we'll be able to win in the later game, or at least he'll be able to win his wave in the later game. And here I'm actually just going to be able to burn down some of that HP on their photon cannon. You see, if I don't autocast, then I can actually target individual buildings on the opponent's side of things. And I know that my teammate is desperately trying to stack, and the only way to get a stack started is to stop their cannon from completely annihilating everything of ours every time it tries to survive a wave. So I have to try to do everything I can to purge their cannon, and I'm just going to do that simply by saving all of my shadow cannons, any remnant that I may have from clearing out my wave, and just force using them on their building. So if I can remove that building, then suddenly these swarm hosts will be staying alive. Suddenly my annihilators will be there to keep the swarm hosts alive, and that will make a huge difference for the remainder of this game. Now here I'm just taking my shadow cannons and manually targeting anything I can. Now I've not used all of my shadow cannons. I could use them on this tank. I could use them on that guardian. I don't want to. I want to save them and just burn down some more HP on that cannon, which I do. Most of its shields had come back, so I don't get that much damage on it, but that is some more chip damage on it. And I still managed to have my Immortals eat that Alpha Strike from the Nova, so my Tychus teammate should be doing pretty okay over here, and you can see he is. Very good. And we're able to just keep getting more spellcasters. Now you notice that we are way beyond having one line of Immortals, and way later on our upgrades. And that is intentional. Upgrades don't mean a whole lot when you're first as Tychus. Armor upgrades are not nearly as useful because Tychus just kind of one-hits units anyways. And then the attack upgrades, you know, that's great and all, but it doesn't help nearly as much as being able to use the Shadow Cannon spell. If we have to rely on auto attacks to burn down units like Nakara, to burn down units like their Rob, it's going to take us an absolute age in order to get through that. No, we want to just get enough shadow cannons to not have to be able to deal with them at all. And you can see that's what we did, and in fact we have enough that we were able to bring the photon cannon down to 34 HP, which really isn't much HP. If there is even a single annihilator that gets within line of sight of their cannon, ever from here on out, we will see the destruction of that cannon, and that will be enough to really start the spiral. At least that will be enough for me to reliably push into Nova, and then I can start building units and building a unit composition more dedicated to dealing with Nova and mass marauders as opposed to Tychus. We'll get to that a little bit later. So here we have my wave pushing up on the Abathur wave. You'll see the enemy guardians are doing a metric ton of damage to that because turns out Queen's not so good frontline combat units, but here we come to save the day, micromanaging, selecting down, and burning down all of those. Now here you're going to see me take out exactly 2 of those guardians. This is specifically because the fat guardians there have more HP and take multiple shadow cannon to eliminate, whereas the skinnier ones, they only take 1 shadow cannon, so I can reliably get rid of half of them without having to spend all of my shadow cannons, which they can then be spent on destroying their cannon. This is going to make things a little bit more exciting. You'll notice that I immediately got an attack upgrade. This is because I can now reliably push into the Nova wave. I'm no longer dealing with basically just Tychus. No, now I'm dealing with Tychus and Nova. And for that, I need more than just shadow cannons, because my units are going to stay around for a while. That realistically, I can expect them to get in a lot more auto attacks than they would versus the Tychus. So I do want those extra attacks. Those extra attack upgrades. But I still want a lot of numbers because shadow cannons are just good, and at this point I have so many of them that I could just completely wipe out entire regions with an initial alpha strike, so I'm going to keep doing that. And notice some more micromanagement here. Focus all of that down, and then autocasts, because I'm not going to micromanage all of that. That's just a lot of clicking. When they have more than 5 units, I'm just going to let it autocast and wipe out as much as we can. And we're going to do good damage here. Now with the attack upgrades, we're going to be doing more damage. Even still, you see my annihilators are still alive and dealing damage while standing on top of the spot that would normally be reserved for their cannon. So normally units that would not be alive are still sitting here doing good work. Welcome to Annihilators. Well, I should say welcome to Immortals. And here we're going to auto-cast some more attack upgrades because, lo and behold, our Annihilators are still stacking. And with that, GG is called because they just can't deal with it. And that is the end of our Karax Annihilator spam versus Tychus. Alright guys, if you want to see more videos just like this and get up to date with the latest and greatest strategies of the meta of Direct Strike Commanders mode, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we have more videos like this coming out soon. But for now, I'll see you guys later.